you're probably looking at the title and probably like, inclusive problem? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why would the anime community of all people have like an inclusive problem? And to that I say, to which era are we referring to? Because at this point, you have the 2000s and 90s people like myself on down, which, were just at the time trying to find people that were into anime and things of sort like that. Doesn't matter what show you were watching, honestly, but it was just like, who is watching this stuff, who actually genuinely gets it like we do, and then, having conversations with those people, having those small debates, whether Dragon Ball is better than Naruto, or something like that, and nothing really more than that. That's essentially the inclusiveness to the most basic degree of what we was looking for back then, right? If you knew something about anime and you knew something about, what it is, welcome to the team, you're a part of it. Even if you knew like 1% of a Dragon Ball character, welcome to the team, you're a part of it. That's what inclusion was back then. Now, it's like everything else, and that's not even a factor anymore. Now it's like, how many trans characters should an anime have? What is the reason for not having a black character in an anime? Why can't we just have more black people in anime and things like that? And, what about these other social topical issues that exist? Why is these like taken lightly or not taken in the way it should be in a lot of these different shows from an anime? And that's like a whole bunch of other stuff when it comes down to it. And it's like, the inclusion problem that we had back then was just trying to get people to watch it or finding people that can watch it, right? Now it's literally every other effing thing. And if we know anything about how people are now, is that people are extremely vocal. They have their opinions, and they will definitely ride those opinions, even if it's a very dumb and bad opinion, to the absolute grave. Whether it's, things that sort of, if you haven't watched this show, this show, and this show, and this show, or if you only watch this show, this show, this show, and this show, you're not an anime fan, which is a very dumbass take. Let's just keep that very much a stack. That's not what we built that shit off of in America, when we first got into it and was arriving over here. That's not how it was. And then, that brings a horrible spotlight to gatekeeping, which gatekeeping ain't the dang problem, it's how you gatekeep. Because if you go about it in the previous way I just said, then obviously that is an issue, because you are acting like an elitist about it, which no one likes an elitist. Shut the hell up and enjoy, what you're watching, honestly. Don't necessarily follow into that type of trap like Black Sage did like some years ago. My ass was basically on some CJ the Champ type time and just be like, shut your black ass up, Stockman. That's basically how I was feeling when I read that whole tweet that I was talking about, like, oh, you watch Demon Slayer and Naruto and things like that, you're not an anime fan and stuff like that. You're just in the beginning phases of it though, right? But then you get like, obviously, a lot of people that jump into the genre that is new, like above the 2010s and in that area where they start to kind of get into it because it's popular and things of the sort like that. And then that's where a lot of the other issues kind of start jumping in. Honestly, I wouldn't even say like really like the full 2010s. I would say like maybe 2014, maybe 2015 on down. Was fine. But then when you start getting like above that point, that's when things really start getting ugly and not necessarily as good as it once was. And it just started getting very weird and all that type of stuff. And with all these new people coming in to watch anime now, it's like, oh, nowadays people have to have this mindset of being like, I'm gonna watch this show and it's gonna be for me, and there's not a bad thing you can really say about it. And then when the show show them something that they don't like, or it's a part of a genre that they absolutely despise, then they're gonna start going on a whole rampage and hating the shit out of the show, hating the shit out of the people that made it, hating the shit out of the people that watches it, and all that type of stuff. And it's not great, obviously, right? Back then when we had debates, it was literally small little arguments, nothing really too serious, right? Maybe a little bit of toxicity there takes being a little bit like, oh, you watch some yaoi yuri shit? That's a bit weird, my guy. Or you into lollies or something like that? That's also equally a bit weird. But it never goes anywhere further than that. Now, you get doxxed over such behavior of liking anything, basically. If your opinion is not valid to them in any shape and form, then you're cooked. And that's the stupidest shit I think the anime community has ever really truthfully adopted. And part of the reason, why things are the way they are now. Definitely that falls onto just how new people kind of come in. Definitely it also falls down to the people that, they kind of watched to kind of get into anime, where you could definitely put some blame on the anime creators of back then. But at the very same time, I wouldn't put full blame on them, but I would put some of that on them because, yeah, their opinions do shape people. Like, people grew up watching these guys. Pretty much anybody grew up watching YouTube in like the 2010s. You're probably going to have some of your personalities taken from those guys into you in some shape or form, and that's just kind of how things is. But I still wouldn't put full blame on them for that, because it's like, well, you should be able to form your own opinion. You should be able to think about the things that you want to think about and stuff like that. But they help shape it in a way, to get you your own opinion. But then you get people that just cannot do that at all. And then that's how we kind of get the soft serving table as things is today, right? So there's like a lot of issues when it comes down to inclusion, right? Because everybody wants to pretend to be inclusive, especially these days. And really the biggest, I would say, outlier of all the countries that's gotten into anime that's really been, on some nonsense is mainly the United States, right? Let's just call it for what it is. It's mainly Americans, right? The North Americans. That's just basically who be causing a lot of these damn issues, right? Because sure, you got like other countries that have their own toxic problems within anime. Japan is no exception either. They got their own people too. But who's causing like the most deafening problem of it? It's Americans. And how society, especially within recent years, have been trying to shape them to be including everything, not trying to be too uncomfortable and everything and stuff like that. And all that type of stuff. Everything has to have some type of meaning, and, and mental health talks and all this type of stuff. And it's like, that really nailed the hammer down of where the issue is basically stemming from. At least when I take a look at the whole picture of the community. Because, yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that really shouldn't be here, that wasn't here in the first dang place. It's also why you could easily say the gaming industry is the way it is now, because it's said same type of things, right? Let's just keep it very much a stack. Anime is made for the people that just like it and like the genre of what it is and the things of it in itself. You don't have to like everything of it. Not everything is specifically built and made for you in particular, right? That's just dumb. But people can't necessarily see past that, because that's why you get moments like people hating the shit out of Fire Force and just absolutely getting mad about that because Tamaki exists. If you see a character or a trope in a show that you don't necessarily like happen, and it happens a lot of the time, and that's kind of what the show is going to do, then very clearly drop the show or basically watch something else. That's literally all you have to do, because the show is basically telling you, hey, Tamaki is going to get naked half the time. So guess what? You're going to deal with that for the whole show. And that's what you basically will get when the whole show basically gets animated. It's not going to happen like every single time, but it's going to happen enough times where it's like, yeah, it is what it is. It's going to be a plot point at some point. So who cares? You know what to expect when you come into this show now, right? And if you still sit around and you watch it and then you still complain about it, that's nobody's fault but yourself. And then when you tell somebody else about that, then they're gonna get mad. You have to deal with the brunt of that. And essentially, it's just like a giant why. Why is this a whole ass thing that you gotta basically hard aim on me? 360 no scope on my ass for no damn reason. It doesn't make sense. And because we also have like this inclusive nature that is existing within the space now certain shows can't be things that you watch anymore. Certain opinions you had about other things can't necessarily be, just an opinion and, just call it a day and kind of go about your business. No, now it has to be like a serious thing that we kind of have to talk about and then absolutely harass you over, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for why that is the way that is. For example, I've seen a lot of people on TikTok specifically hate the shit out of High School DxD. I have never seen this shit ever before we got to this damn point. Usually, when I see people talk about High School DxD, it's damn, this show was good, this awakened me in some way and form, and all that type of stuff. And that's just kind of how it was. Even in 2016, I want to say, when I first saw this as a freshman in my freshman year of high school, I was like, what? You could show actual uncensored booba? That's crazy. I never knew that. I never knew that was a thing. And then, that's just kind of my outlook at that point. I was blown by that statement. And then I was like, damn, DxD, as I continued watching it, kind of slowly became one of my favorite shows of all time. Not just to that fact, but also because just how the show carries itself as a harem show. It has a decent plot. It has good, ecchi scenes as it is. And it's just like a damn good time. But now it's like, no, that's goon material. That's all that type of stuff. We don't like that type of stuff, when that was never a problem before. And it's weird as to why is this a problem now, right? Could it be just the, DEI, ESG, inclusive ass behavior that's been going on for the years and years and years? Probably so, right? But at the very same time, it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why is it bad now versus why it was fine back then, And now, because anime hit this mainstream modernism type of place now we have to deal with a new type of inclusiveness. A new type of inclusiveness that brings in basically anybody into the community with all sorts of backgrounds. And now we basically have to, walk down this whole ass dark alley, double checking our surroundings, making sure that we're not necessarily getting in with the wrong crowd of people that likes, anime for the wrong reasons, right? Or basically get into a certain crowd of people and make sure that there is no jackass within that certain crowd of people that will potentially be on some dumb shit, And that's essentially what we get. So it's not the same as it once was, where we just try to find like-minded individuals. Now it's like all this other stuff. And I find it funny how so many people be like, the anime community is inclusive, we allow all kinds of people in here. And we do, but you changed it up. But I find it also funny that you guys are the very same people that be very much ready to dox and death threat a literal creator over the show that they made because you didn't like a certain decision or a certain character, or basically you don't like the fact that there is no races of other people in the show or material of the thing that you're watching. So essentially we'll race swap it and do a shitty looking drawing just to make sure we feel better on the inside, because we're mad inclusive with the whole white people arm swing that looks very cheesy from back then. Like, that's essentially what you bring to the table. You're bringing to the table your quote unquote inclusive ideas, yet you don't let shit just be the way it should be. And then that's when you start injecting the toxic positivity into stuff, right? Where you try to be inclusive, but if it's not your level of inclusive, if it's not your level of what you find acceptable, then it's a huge issue. And for some reason, you get your way, and then it still makes the situation even more shittier. Like, that's just how it is. So overall, you have to remember and really think about it, especially with really not even just anime, but with anything. Not everything needs to cater to everyone. If you do that, you basically cater to no one. Like, I'm pretty sure you heard that sort of type of phrasing before, right? Where, you have this one thing, it's cool, everybody likes it. One person hates it, you change the thing, we like the other thing better. Now we change it in a different sort of way. Now no one effing cares. And the person that you probably changed it for probably didn't care in the first damn place. And then, when you look at the copious issues of the anime space and how things is, and how people kind of go about stuff and all that type of stuff, it is somewhat no surprise why you get few anime YouTubers and people like them kind of not talking about the stuff that goes on, right? Does that excuse them? Absolutely not. But at the very same time, it's not a surprise why no one talks about it, because that's just how the community is now, right? When it wasn't like this before, you could easily sit here and have opinions without getting judged on it super hard, or life without any life-threatening issues to come through. And nowadays, that's all you get. I promise you this, if VTubing existed back then with how all the stuff of it is now, I promise you no one would have said a bad word too much about it, honestly, right? We would be like, damn, this is mad cool. People can turn themselves into anime characters, kinda. That's very creative. That's super dope. And all that type of stuff. And plenty of people would not have complained super hard about it, right? You like this VTubing agency? Alright, I don't, but I like this one better. And then that's essentially the conversation. You're not gonna get into super deep rage ass conversations. You're not getting people that's trying to rage bait you and things like that, of all types of trolling bait and stuff like that. You're not gonna get anything like that. You're just gonna get a whole ass debate, and that's it. And it's not gonna be anything crazy. No doxing of information. There's no like hacking into other shit. No reporting shit. None of that shit, right? None of that. But now that's all you get, because people are too freaking weak and too freaking inclusive in their minds of what they think is inclusive, when in reality this shit just mad toxic as hell. So that's where that kind of comes from. But if you really want an actual reason as to why the anime community is in a terrible state and unfortunately might be like this forever, it's most likely the inclusiveness and definitely the United States type of social norms that exist out there, right? That's pretty much what this is, And people could be sitting here and just be like, well, that's not necessarily our problem. It kind of is, right? Because we gotta remember, we're one damn country with our own damn norms and whatever. Why are we forcing this shit on literally everybody else? Why are we forcing this shit on Japan? Why are we forcing this shit on everything else and trying to be inclusive again, and then being really toxic with it and just kind of do dumb things to try to make ourselves look inclusive, but we're really not. We're being assholes, right? Why do other countries have to worry about the they them pronoun and stuff like that when it doesn't make sense in their own language and they don't care? Like, if you literally look into circles of different language speakers, they don't care about that shit. Only United States people care about that shit, and other English speakers. That's literally the only people that do. Why is that a thing? So, to basically top off everything though, right? There's a lot of problems with the anime community. There's tons of them, and honestly, I can't list every single thing because there's just too damn many of them. There's way too damn many. But there is a lot of issues with how modern people is when it comes down to community, and how people perceive anime now versus how it was back then. Because again, we were just trying to find like-minded individuals. Now it's like, you gotta be trans and all this other stuff and believe this sort of thing and just follow this sort of method and all this type of ways and all these other added things that wasn't there to begin with and needed to be there. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense, If I like a lolly in this damn show, or if I like something here that obviously a lot of people may find weird, that's perfectly fine. No one cares. No one's batting an eye. But now it's a whole bunch of other stuff that doesn't make sense. So in reality, if you want what my whole opinion of what the anime space is, the anime space is literally a place for people to come through, find like-minded individuals, and just chat lightheartedly about the subject of anime. That's literally about it. That's really what it is. I don't know if it's just the inclusive stuff, or it's the fact that people want to make anime just like real life and just, make like real life issues come into the space hard as hell and just kind of deal with reality in these type of shows. Which, why should that be the thing? It is a fictional product. literally make a nonfiction show if that's what you want to do. But still, nonetheless, there could be so many things of why this is the way it is. But in the end, it's really just a space for like-minded individuals and people just come through just to talk about it because it's cool. And that's really what it is. None of this other in-depth shit, none of that. Absolutely none. You can have those debates, but it shouldn't have to go that far as to what it is. And if you do take it that far, you are absolutely missing the point of why people got into anime in the first damn place. Let's return back to that, please. But that's essentially what I wanted to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. Hopefully you understood where I'm coming from. And if you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on socials. And if you'd like to donate to your channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.